You walk into a room and there are 6 people in black leather clothing staring at you. They must surely be bandits. 2 of them are holding swords, 2 of them are holding axes. 1 is holding a flail and 1 is holding a dagger. One of the 2 with swords has a scimitar and a sword. The other one has a rapier and a sword. One of the 2 people holding axes has double-edged hand axes, while the other one has 2 long axes. Meanwhile, the guy with the flail, as soon as he sees you, decides to drop the flail and opts to go for a sword that was on a table nearby. The last guy is just holding a small dagger. Well, it's more like a butter knife, really. That was kind of confusing, right? So let's start again. Hey everyone, I am Kelfecil, professional narrative designer and game designer, and I'm here to talk to you today about having too many damn monsters in your game. This topic goes well beyond ttrpgs and right into novel writing actually, and it has been a long time that I've wanted to talk about this, and there is so much to talk about that I think that I should probably split this into 2 videos. In this one we will talk about expanding or limiting the menagerie of monsters you use in your narratives, while in the second video we will talk about pantheons and religions in your narrative. Both subjects fall under the same issue that many designers and writers tend to have trouble with: using too much. So let's get into it. Monsters! What an amazing fictional thing we've created for ourselves to materialize fears, challenges and obstacles that the protagonists of our stories can fight against. Making a monster out of something, or making a monster in general really, helps us visualize the struggle that our heroes have. Making something more physical, solid even, helps readers and the players experiencing interactive stories understand and even more easily deal with the problems at hand. Be it those monsters are material or immaterial things though, there is a reason why we like to make many of them. Many believe that having a rich monster ecosystem helps you grab something for each situation. An example of that are rich novels with tons of world building and entire books worth of explanations for the background of each single entity that walks in those worlds. Orcs, trolls, goblins, and what have you are all examples of that, and there are many worlds that the designer or the writer would divide the blame between all those creatures, giving them innate characteristics that make them basically, well, monsters. Others believe that having one monster as the central point that encompasses all issues and problems is much easier to understand. The best and simplest example I could give you of that is the devil himself. In many religions all around the world, there is often a devil figure that encompasses all that is evil. Don't let the devil woo you. He has a devil in him. The devil spoke in his ear. Oh, even hell is empty and all the devils are here, you know, just to quote Shakespeare basically. There is of course merit to both perspectives. Where do I stand on the matter? Well, I stand between those 2 perspectives and I prefer to follow a balanced path. As my all-time favorite writer William Gibson says in one of his books, to call up a demon, you must learn its name. On one hand, I believe in having options. I really like rich worlds with tons to explore and myriads of intricacies that make it more real and believable. But if it's not memorable, then is it really worth enriching a world with more? On the other hand, I believe in keeping it simple. I like having a focal point which I can use as my go-to solution for all sorts of problems that I want to introduce to my stories. But isn't that too simplistic and shallow? Well, it all comes down to one thing. Will it be memorable or forgettable? When adding to our stories, no matter what that is, we always need to ask ourselves the question, does it service the narrative? It does not always have to, but that's how we end up having effects like virtue signaling, for example, which for many readers is something that pulls them out of the story and ends up alienating them from what the writer wanted to deliver as a message through their story in the first place. It is a slippery slope to talk about purposeful writing, so we will keep it to our topic for now and discuss that other one on another video. So let's get back to, oh yeah, monsters. So let me ask you this. Are your monsters memorable? I have so many great examples I can give you about both memorable and forgettable, but nothing speaks more to readers and players like a good recurring monster. Be it the monster is strong or weak, having it reappear again and again will allow players to familiarize themselves with it and deal with it more effectively over time. This is standard narrative and game design honestly at this point, allowing characters to basically grow step by step by learning through their actions. If they make mistakes against one monster, they will learn how to deal with a new one later on, and in a much more efficient manner as well. So basically less is more. Let's take a more tangible example. The 6 bandits from the introduction that were all wielding different weapons were a bit much, weren't they? It is interesting to have buddies with different weapon choices, but does that really service the narrative in this case? It services the mechanical complexity of the situation and therefore adds some interesting parts to the fight, but it does not really allow the players to focus on the moment. So why are the bandits there? Why are there 6 of them? Why are they about to attack you? Why are they wielding those particular weapons? So you see, the question about the weapons is far less important than all the other questions that came before it. And I bet you can make a whole lot more questions that will still be a much bigger priority to the players than the weapons one in this case. So even if you're designing a story for a group of people that want very intricate and tactical combat with lots of details sprinkled all over it, they're still there because they expect narrative cohesion. Everyone does, honestly, no matter how little they would like to admit to it. Every game has a story, and that is what creates the real experience. Feel free to quote me on that, by the way. Even the most seamless games end up having a narrative of their own, created by the players and the moves that they make as they play the game. One of the best examples for that would be chess, and how it has developed tons of historical matches. Yes, chess, a game that literally has just black and white pieces with the most generic names one can find for them. So be it you're developing a very intricate big body with a very refined background that plays perfectly into the narrative of your adventure, or that you are introducing various monsters as the players progress through the story you set before them, each case requires steps. Yes, steps. You cannot just throw a group of bandits with tons of intricate weapons at the players and expect them to pay attention. You need to pace it and let the players absorb and learn the information you're throwing at them. Once that information has become knowledge, then they can start moving forward and connect the dots without the story becoming unnecessarily heavy and with too much information. There is a reason why popular fantasy stories have grunts with swords and shields before the protagonist takes on any kind of magic wielding fellas. Even in books like The Wheel of Time, things are paced in such a way that readers are not overwhelmed by the overcomplicated concept of magic right off the bat. The overall idea about introducing monsters in your stories is just keep it simple. Some of the worst examples I have actually seen of world building usually come from illustrators and artists who become infatuated with the idea of building their own world, full of peculiar creatures and monsters that are derived from their imagination. That is cool and all, but there is a reason why many people won't ever connect with all of those. Because they're not made for a story. Creating a monster out of thin air can be great, but if that monster serves no purpose to the narrative, then why would anyone ever care about it? Because it kind of looks cool? One of the things I say a lot is create with purpose, and that is not just to sound fancy. Even when it comes to marketing, which is something very different from creative design and writing in many ways, there are many similar narrative design methods that are borrowed in order to create attractive campaigns and ads. Creating something that has nothing relatable and nothing that will make us care for it other than shallow attraction will stay exactly as that. For narrative design purposes, that is simply not servicing the narrative in any way, and therefore will be just fluff and trivial information. I would like to point out, by the way, that many of the artists that I've seen do that sort of thing simply do not care about having something, well, anything more than just a cool looking monster. And I'm not here to judge that. This is also exactly the reason why a lot of illustrators study storyboarding among many other things, just so that they can improve their craft and make stories, not just lifeless artworks. So, all in all, narrative design methods can widely vary from person to person, but at the end of the day, we're all humans and our psyche seeks something deeper and more refined. As much as current trends push humanity to quick consumption trends, real stories with meaning still remain a constant, and learning how to craft them is something that I believe we should always strive to perfect, one way or another. Anyway, that's all for today, my friends. I hope you enjoyed my musings on adding monsters to your stories. As always, if you like this video, like and subscribe so that you can stay notified on future videos. If you'd like to support me, then you will be happy to know that I also run a Patreon page with tons of new and exclusive ttrpg content releases every single month. A huge thank you to all my fantastic patrons who, with their amazing support, are keeping me going with what I love to do. Till next time, may Starlight guide your way, my friends. Bye bye.